You're welcome to today's important and timely discussion. My name is Abimbola Shion Oyindoye, and I'm glad to be your host again on this episode of the podcast. Today, we'll be discussing a topic that is surrounded by silence, stigma, and misunderstandings. It is suicide. And would like to approach it from a place that is different from despair. Would like to explore new methods of dealing with it and finding methods of preventing it. In recent years, the conversations around mental health has grown. But when it comes to suicide, there's still so much work to be done. Today, we have very eminent personalities to discuss the topic of suicide with us, speaking about innovative strategies, hearing personal stories, and discussing how we as a society can reshape the narrative around suicide and save lives. Together, we'll be having discussion on the topic of suicide once again. I have with me Mr. Abdurrahim Abdulkadir, otherwise known as Councillor Kadesh. He is a graduate doctor of veterinary medicine from the University of Ilorin and a mental health counselor trainer, researcher, and advocate with a wealth of experience. He is affiliated with various mental health institutions, communities, and organizations, and has been opportuned to preach the gospel of mental health at several events, webinars, trainings, and on various platforms, both local and international. You're very welcome, sir.
Thank you very much. I feel honored to be here
We're glad
to be speaking on this particular topic.
We're glad to have you. We also have Mr. Oluwatodimo Bamigbadi. He's an assistant financial manager with Arichiche and one who has the skills of speaking on podcast. You're welcome.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. And with me, my fellow beautiful lady, we have Miss Olaide Juliana, a public speaker and a very intelligent young woman. Thank you for coming.
Thank you for having me.
All right, so without further ado, let's move straight into our questions. We'll start with the mental health specialist. What do you think about this year's theme? The theme for this year is changing the narrative on suicide. What do you think about this theme? Does it encapsulate what we should do about suicide nationwide and worldwide?
Thank you very much. Actually, I think when you say something is a theme, then it should be able to encapsulate various concepts around the particular issue at hand. And at the same time, it should be able to deal with contemporary problems surrounding that particular issue.
Okay.
So I would say that the particular theme for this year is encapsulating, and it's actually very explanatory. Changing the narrative on suicide, because we realize that over time, it's not we trying to preach suicide now. It's a widely known topic, and at this time we have realized that there's been a lot of myth around it, and there's been a lot of misconceptions. There's been a lot of controversies around the topic. So this time around, we're trying to change the narrative, and that is exactly what we're here to do.
Thank you very much. Before we delve further, I would like you to just lay a definitive foundation on the topic of suicide. Before we just lay a definitive foundation. What is suicide? What does it entail? What are the telltale signs, if there are any, that we need to look out for?
Okay, suicide, like we all know, it's a thing that, or let's say it's a concept that goes beyond just the mere idea of it. It can be defined as a person intentionally taking their life. So the word intentionally is the key word there, because a person can accidentally take their life, or someone's life can be taken accidentally, or it can be planned or framed or something like that. But when someone intentionally takes their own life, that is what we regard as suicide. Now, some of us can start to wonder, why would a person want to take their life? Well, there's a particular misconception around this topic that some people believe maybe it's a mental health condition. Well, it can result from mental health problems or mental health conditions, but it is not necessarily on its own a mental health condition. So Suicide, like I explained earlier, can occur as a result of mental health problems. It can also occur as a result of traumatic events, maybe physical events, emotional traumatic events, or a sudden loss of a loved one, or or sudden shock, overdue stress. You know, we all have different capacities and levels that which we can retain stress. So a prolonged period of stress can lead to suicidal thoughts. And it's interesting that every suicide case you see starts with a thought. So it begins from suicidal thoughts, and then it goes into actually taking out the action of committing suicide.
Thank you very much, Mr. Cordio. Mr. Todimo, would you say that would you say you think that everybody that you know has at one point or the other had suicidal thoughts?
Um, I can't really say, but we all have our individual perspective regarding that. And you can't really tell on someone's face whether they are suicidal or not. But I would say like most people actually have what they are going through. So it depends on their level of like receiving it, I would say.
I concur with what you just said. I personally believe that we have various triggers. We have also various methods of coping with whatsoever we're going through: stress, traumatic experiences. I was telling somebody some days ago that if I probably calculated my life from last year to this year, and I wanted to go by what I felt emotionally, and how I wanted to cope with it, suicide would have been an option for another person. But I guess because we also have various wavelengths of taking things in, so we can, yes, manage our pains individually. Thank you so much for answering the questions, Mr. Tudim or Mr. Cordial. Um, Mr. Cordial, before I go to Juliana next, what do you think the conversation around mental health and suicide has been? I mean, in its evolution over the years, like how has it progressed?
Well, I want to believe that in recent years, the discussion and the outcry regarding topics surrounding mental health has become increasingly popular. Let's talk about Twitter engagements, Twitter spaces, talk about webinars, talk about programs, talk about undergraduate and postgraduate programs, talk about campus programs, talk about outreaches and all of that. It has become increasingly popular, and we can wonder why is that. Because generally we want to say that even if we were in a saner climate where things are going on well, there are always triggers. There are always things that would happen. And I would say that well, starting from the basic concept of mental health, it's regarding our physical, our emotional, our our psychosocial health. So generally, every single thing that we go through day in day out that affects how we think, how we act, and how we how we behave. These three things, like every single thing that we do on a daily basis that affects these three things, will affect us and affect how we react to it. So now it's a thing of the mind. Mental health is a thing of the mind, and as long as there have been increasing triggers like economic situations that affect people, not even talking about other aspects now, but economic situation alone can affect people's mental health, and it has it has shown to lead to cases of suicide all around, cases of depression, cases of a lot of mental health issues. And we realizing that this topic has been downplayed for a long time. People have started waking up, and they are beginning to talk about this topic because it affects everyone.
Thank you very much, Mr. Cordero. Juliana, one of the topics of the spheres of mental health that we don't really talk about is how our workplace and employment, how it affects our mental health structure overall. What role do you think your workplace or your professional life, what role do you think it plays on your mental health, your overall mental health?
All right, thank you very much. Personally, I would say I have to be sincere. My workplace is not affecting my own mental health. But I know that in some cases, some people's workplace are really affecting their mental health. So I feel like those people just need to speak out because, like Mr. Todimo said, it is not written on the forehead. But if we can create safer spaces where people feel heard and seen, where they can easily share what's on their mind, we can then get to the root cause. Because mental health, like you said, starts from the thought. It is not. It is the aftermath. It is not the root cause. So if we're able to identify the root cause on time, then we can help these people. But first, we need to have safer spaces, enabling environment where people feel supported, people feel seen, appreciated. All these things help. They're having a boss terrorize a junior. That's all. They are all. A boss takes credit for what the junior does. That can demoralize that team member or junior to try again to want to work more or giving their best. Most people set goals as they go into organizations, but when they get there and see that okay, this place is not a place that can really build me. This place is just here to shatter me. They can start to how will I put it now? To curve in. They don't want to leverage the opportunities available. They won't even be able to see the opportunities available because their mindset has been deteriorated in one way or the other. So they have to be enabling environments and safer spaces for me.
Thank you very much, Juliana. You've just spoken what I wanted to say, spoken my mind. I wanted to also add that I was making a joke before we came on the podcast that we should ensure that every person that comes on here is not somebody contributing badly to another person's mental health.
Valid.
We're
Very
not, yes,
valid.
we're
Very,
not
very valid.
persons trying to beat people down so that they would think of suicide. Yeah, at least. So it is important that I would always also say something. It begins with you. Every advocacy begins with you. You shouldn't be that person that says, "Oh, suicide is something. We should do this. We should do that." But ensure that actively you are on your own a supportive community. You are not somebody that beats other people down or doesn't want them to grow at what they do. So thank you very much for your contribution. Todimo, what roles do families, friends, colleagues have towards suicide prevention? How can we do it? For example, if I had um, a very bad time of the year and you were my friend, what would you do to help me?
Okay, thank you.
First of all, I'm so sorry to interrupt you. First of all, probably I don't want to tell you what I'm going through, but you've noticed the
Okay.
change in me.
First, as your colleague, I have to like be very observant. When people are going through a lot, there are some things you shouldn't say because you might be sensitive to them. It might be even your usual joke that you might say at that particular time that they might like just flare up and that kind of thing. So as a colleague, like you have to be observant of your environment. So regarding the question you asked earlier, for families, I would say the major role actually is on the family because it's the family that's going to build like this kind of moral support for individuals. Like they're the one that can like boost your confidence, your self-esteem. If you have a low self-esteem, it would actually affect your mental health. So the family needs to give like emotional support. They need to like be able to like listen to you whenever you're going through things without being judgmental, without insulting, because in this African setting, you actually can get like this lash from your parents, mostly the mothers, I'm sorry. Mostly the mothers and that kind of thing. So like you need to like be able to find a safe space at home first. So in my own opinion, I think the family goes first. Then for friends, for someone like me, each time I'm going through things, I like hanging out with friends. I like going out a lot, like a lot. So like at that particular time, I'm not thinking about whatever it is that is happening to me. Like so, like it just helps me to like ease my mind off things and that kind of thing. And by the time I get back home, like I'm already very stressed. I'm tired and stressed again, so I'll just go to bed and that kind of thing. So I don't think about whatever is giving me this kind of mental breakdown, that kind of thing. So at the office, I would say that if you have bosses who are not pleasant or who treat you badly, it could actually affect you because generally speaking, everyone is going through one thing or the other. So how your bosses interact with you would also matter. Because there are some times that you spend most of your time in the office. So there are some times that when you expect to even find peace at the office, that's when like there are a lot of backlash and all those kind of things. So at that particular time, you just need a boss that is like very observant also, because your bosses might be going through other things too. So like they will just come and just lash out on you and that kind of thing. And that will like really, really affect you. So the boss in general, they need to like very, very observant of what is happening. Like, there are sometimes that when I come to the office, I'm very quiet. Then people come and ask me, Mr. So they know what's wrong and that kind of thing. They know that okay, I've withdrawn a bit. So they don't really joke around me, or they're just like very, very kind and careful when they're around me. So I think in those kind of things too, like bosses can be very, very observant about things like that.
Thank you very much, Todimo. I think that observation is actually a very good skill to have, actually, because if I'm going through something, I wouldn't speak. I become silent when I'm going through something. I just keep quiet all through.
Likewise.
And I don't want to go out. I don't want to go. I just want to stay in a dark place and remain there. It's not the best coping mechanism, but it has pulled me through a lot of things. I also like to pray and worship. If I do that, yeah, sometimes when you worship, you get to a place of emotional connectivity with your creator, and you're just too emotional, and they get it over with a little. Then how do I know that I'm getting better from a dark place? I begin to joke about what has happened, the traumatic experiences. I begin to just pass it as a joke, sarcasm.
Sorry. Also, I think as individuals, also, you need to find what works for you.
Mm-hmm.
We all have certain things that make us happy. So, like, if you actually know what makes you happy, if you do it, like at that particular time, you're not thinking of all this suicidal thoughts and that kind of thing. But then people have different ways of raising it, because you wonder that okay, why do rich people, the people that have money, why do they commit suicide? I think as at this year, I heard about the CEO of Unga that committed suicide and that kind of thing. So you wonder that with all that money, with all that business, why suicide?
Well, if I had money, Mr. Cordier, please tell us, how do you cope with your personal down moments so that you do not get to the point of suicide?
Okay. Well, as we all have mentioned here today, that at any point in time or at every point in time, we all have one or two things, or everybody has one or two things they are going through. They might differ in severity, and we might cope with them better. And the funny thing is that we all also react to them differently. We all exhibit it differently. Like you said, that you like to isolate and you like to be in a dark place. You like to withdraw when you're feeling down. Someone like me sometimes will socialize more when I'm feeling down, and you will not even notice. So I don't know if you get that. So we all display it differently. Now, if we're talking about, he used two words. He said he used to be observant and to be kind. Now, those are very, very important attributes to have. But at the same time, okay, how do you tell in a case of someone that is similar to me, who doesn't withdraw or who doesn't go down, and they just, they show excitement, they interact more when they're feeling down? No matter how observant you are, I don't think you can easily pick out that this person is going through something. You understand? So I think it goes beyond being observant. I think it's just basically being empathetic and compassionate as a human being. I think that is just the basic attribute to have. Just be a compassionate human being, be an empathetic human being. I want to cite a scenario where there was this particular scenario that happened. I think 2022, if I'm not mistaken. I'm a poet.
Okay.
I write poetry, and I'm a very big fan of poetry. So regardless of wherever, when I see poems, I like to read. I like to interact with them. So I was just going through my WhatsApp status one day, and I stumbled on a poem on a friend's status written by someone. And I've been coming across the person's post. I don't know who the person was, but I've been coming across the person's post before. And when I saw that poem, it got me intrigued, and I started reading. And when I went through it, it struck me as not even a cry. It struck me as a scream for help. Like, the writer of this poem is screaming so loudly for help, and I don't think a lot of people can hear. I immediately DM the person that posted. I said, "Did you read this poem? This person is going through a lot, and this person needs help, like ASAP." He said, I had not even read it to me. I just forwarded it to my status when it was a busy message. I said, "Guy, read it." He said, "See, you know me, I'm not a fan of poems like that." I was like, "This is what I even said. You're not even triggered. Like, you don't even feel curious to check what I'm saying or something like that." He said, that it might just, like, the person might just be, you know, might just be creative and just writing it in third person or something like that. I said, "Do you have the person's contact? Can you share me?" He said, "No problem. Share the person's contact with me." And I DM'd the person. I said, "Oh, good afternoon. How are you? I know you don't know me, but I read your poem titled this, and I just kind of sensed that you might be going through something and you need help. I might be wrong, but if at all that is true, I hope you find the help you need. And if at all you want to talk about it, I'll be here." That's all I said. And this person, just the introductory, it was even a business page. "And thank you for contacting this one." So then the person replied and said, "Good afternoon." And then when she read the message, she stalled to reply. I was waiting for a response. She did not reply me for a year.
A whole year.
She did not reply me for 1 whole year. I just saved the contact with the name, and I just moved on. It was just one of my daily activities. I just moved on, and I was hoping in my mind, I was praying that she will be fine. I left it like that, and I don't know if it's exactly a year after, but I know it was up to a year. I just got a DM from this person. No, I just turned on my data, and then I saw 13 unread messages from this person who I have not spoken to in a year. And when I opened it, I saw a lot of voice notes. I saw a lot of text, and in the voice notes, this person was crying. So I'm sure she has bottled it up, and it has gotten up to here. And then she felt like I was a stranger at that time when I texted, and she didn't want to feel very, very vulnerable and all of that. And she had to like run away. Like, who's this person who read through my charade and who saw through? I was hiding my pain in behind the pages of the poem, and then this guy saw through. Who is this person? And I don't know him enough to trust him to talk about my pains and all of that. So she did not confide in me, but I did not pressure her. And the fact that I think she just saw that I was being sincere with my approach, and she probably got no other option. She had to break it down in my DM. I had to, call her after, and then we talked about a whole lot of things. We were in contact for months straight that we had to talk about a lot of things. And to God be the glory, she got very much better after the whole encounter, and we are very close friends now. So
I would say, sorry to interrupt you, that you should add one more, should I say nugget? Patience. Because a whole year is a lot.
It could actually be like probably the early stage of when maybe it just started. And
Yeah, she didn't want to talk about it.
Yes.
So please wait. There are persons who you would have to wait for. Juliana, what's your contribution to this? Personal experiences.
All right. For me, I like to talk to people. I like to open up. But I always feel like the more I keep it to myself, the more it will get worse. And I have been in a situation where I really needed help, and talking to someone helped me. Yes, I did have I won't say suicide thought. I just been childish then sincerely, but I was really going through a lot, and I was really, 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 really down then. And something that I could not speak to anybody about, even those that were with me in the same house, meeting. But thank God I was able to speak to somebody. But that person, like you said, had to keep trying to get through. It was not on the first attempt, because I had to feel like this person is safe enough for me to tell this thing without feeling judged, because that was my fear, being judged by anybody. I didn't do anything bad, but I kind of realized that there's this expectation around me, and I didn't want to let people know I didn't do anything bad, like I said, but I like to keep a clean slate. But at this point, I know I needed to come out to tell people, and I'm so grateful I did. In the long run, I did, and it's something that I hope to talk to people about in the near future. Something that is like a motivation to me now. That problem is now something that I look forward to helping people see at the early stage before it gets to where I got to then that I started having silly thoughts.
Thank you very much, Juliana. I would say that I wanted to add that my secrecy in times of being down comes from the place of wanting to stand up for everybody. I'm that one person that is so compassionate and kind to people. So if you were having your down moments, I'd rather take it upon my own down moments and speak about it. And I saw that it was actually very detrimental to my mental health. Up until last year, I did not know that it was that detrimental to my mental health, because tell me why I'm going through something, but I want to help somebody that is going through something. I never actually thought to. Like I always say, I don't want to die. It's not a flex. It's just some of our mental health is just stronger than the other. I just feel like there's so much to do in life. You would have to go through pain. Please do not leave the option of living. Don't cleave to death so much. There's nothing after death. But there's so much in life. Anything can flip. The coin can flip. Thank you so much for sharing your personal experiences and being vulnerable. Thank you, Mr. Cordial, for your contributions. And the last question.
You're welcome.
What are the contributory factors to suicide, if I may ask?
Well, thank you for that question, because it's when we are talking about a topic like this, we actually need to talk about what contributes to it, so that a lot of people will understand the dynamics of it, and we will know if we are not, or if we are, a contributing factor to someone, and we'll be able to, adjust after hearing this message. So, well, there are numerous factors or triggers that, might contribute to something like suicide. But personally, I usually have a list of like 6 major factors or key factors that contribute, and I tag them FSW, FSP.
Okay.
Family is first. Family can be a contributing factor to suicide. That is, in terms of, comparing 2 children. If one does better in school and then you compare them to the other one who might not be much of a school person, maybe he has a skill that he's good at, or she is good at, and all of that, and then you compare them academically, and then the other one feels less of him or herself, and then starts contemplating suicide, like, my daddy does not like me, my mommy does not like me, something like that. Well, we have school, because these days, well, according to my own personal perspective, I feel like majority of those that we hear about suicide cases, most of them are young people, are of school ages, maybe university, maybe after WAEC result, or after a semester or session result. Some of them, maybe they could not cross to the next level, or they had to withdraw, So the school stress and everything they have gone through, and then at the end of the day, they could not get maybe a favorable result, and they don't know how to, tell them at home the fact that they've paid a lot of money to, be in school and all of that. So it might be too much for some people, and they will think the only option for them is suicide. So the third one is workplace. Like we said earlier, workplace can be a contributing factor. A toxic workplace, or a workplace that doesn't have an enabling environment, or where there is too much of deadlines or pressure, it can be a contributing factor to suicide. Then friends, friends that oppress other friends, maybe with money, or the fact that you already have a boyfriend or a girlfriend, the fact that you're married, the fact that you have children, and then your friends do not, and then you start oppressing them, or you even oppress people on social media, or even start making your friends feel less of themselves, or feel inferior to you. It might be a contributing factor to suicide. And then the society at large can be a contributing factor to suicide. How is that? The fact that we think, oh, you are Yoruba, you should not marry Hausa, and then this person is already in love with an Hausa person, and then they think, how am I going to survive without the love of my life? If I can't marry this person, I'd rather die. So it can be, it's actually a contemporary problem these days, especially. And those are kind of the cases that we frequently see around these days. And the society start to look at it like, okay, no, you're a Muslim, you can't marry a Christian, a lot of other things aside even marriage. And then stigma even in the society. Oh, this one is a single mother. Oh, this one has had a mental health problem before. This one is an ex-convict. This one failed and dropped out of school. A lot of all this stigma and all of that, stigmatization and all of that, can be contributing factors to suicide from the society. So if you watching me right now have in any way, been guilty of any of these things I mentioned, please try to adjust. And if anyone around you has been doing that or is doing that, please try to correct them and caution them. The last point, P, is peers. I said friends before, but in terms of peers now, it might be schoolmates, it can be colleagues, it can be, it can be friends from the neighborhood. You understand? That are not necessarily your friends, maybe are just acquaintances, business colleagues and all of that, that just make you feel less of yourself, or that make things difficult for you, or peer pressure and all of that. They make you want to, run faster than your time, and all of that can exert so much pressure on a person. And if care is not taken, it can lead to it can be a contributing factor to suicide. Thank you.
Thank you very much for speaking about the contributing factors to suicide. I also wanted to add something for those who break their partner's hearts, just like that. Yes, it is a very huge contributing factor. I know that emotionally, there's quite a number of persons who've taken their lives because of an ended relationship.
Fact.
Yes.
It's ridiculous because there are about how many people here on earth? And I know there are certain people that feel like this person is an all individual, and if you're not with this person, you would not survive.
The world will end.
Yeah.
Someone.
So just do it in a better way. In case you want to feed someone breakfast, just don't just abscond.
Make it presentable.
Thank you. Let's be kind at it, so that we don't find
Heartbreaks are never presentable.
either ways, but at least you're not shoving it
We'll
down
try
the
to be
person's throat.
compassionate while doing it.
Yeah, so that the person is not thinking of suicide as the only option. Moving on to the next question. Juliana, what do you think platforms such as social media, how do you think they can influence speaking about suicide prevention?
All right, thank you very much.
Very succinctly, please.
All right. As we know that social media is one powerful tool in this age and time, we young people, most people now, not just say young people, but even old people too, spend more time on their phones. So it is one powerful tool that we can use to change narrative, push narrative. We need to continue to show people. There's a way we can set an agenda on social media and people will grab that agenda and start to follow it. So if we continue showing the positive agenda, showing positive stories of survivor stories and mental health, then I feel like this can be able to help.
Yes, I believe that you have said the right thing. I believe as much as we can speak about it, like I'd always say, become an advocate, a one-man advocate. You can even work with organizations working on suicide, create hashtags, just speak about it. Todimo, finally, how can we ensure that the conversation around suicide is spoken about, more in the positive light? How can we ensure that we're not shying away from the discussion? For example, if you had somebody who had a sibling or who had a friend commit suicide, how do you want to talk about that person? Do you want to influence that person to come out to say, please don't commit suicide, this is what I know, this is what I know, create awareness?
All right, thank you. So, first, I don't think people are actually very comfortable. Why sitting here? I was just thinking of one experience that happened. So, in 2022, I had a very good friend of mine, friend that I've been spending. And the major reason why she committed suicide was because apparently the not true in our love. I knew the funny thing about when she died was she actually spoke the letter to her mom. Told her mom that she was going to commit suicide. But I think her mom probably thought she was bluffing, like she wasn't going to do it. And eventually she did. But I think they got that. So that was the reason why I said parents today are the wrong way. They need to like show care, emotional support. I can tell you that please, your parents are always there for you. You have to be said there. Like if you are going through whatever and your parents, your mom or dad, like you can confide in them, oh dad. Or even if it's like this heartbreak talked about. You can actually talk to them, oh mom, this happened and this happened. And they're like very there to like to listen, not being judgmental and advising you that don't worry. There are people out there, you think another person like if they are really, really there, honestly, like to boost your emotions, like your confidence, that's one. Secondly, you also need to have like positive friends. I also have a friend, actually I sit up to the person that we're very, very good. 2 days ago she sent me this reel on Instagram. And the reel was just very simple. It was a cat that tied rope. I don't know whether anyone has seen it. A cat that just tied rope on the neck and that kind of thing. So she had never talked about being suicidal before. But now that I'm talking about this topic, like I'm not thinking about it. That was just all she
Was
said.
she the cat?
She's apparently like she herself, she's making herself the cat. So
Like
like
figurative.
exactly, and she has never talked about anything of such to me before. So now I'm thinking that okay, father should just go and like ask her, or I wasn't even very observant at that aspect. I just felt like oh, just one of those views like people are tired, nobody just going through one or the other, that kind of thing. That it's just a way of showing that oh, I don't give up on Nigeria and that kind of thing. But now like I feel like I should have just asked her more and that kind of thing. And I noticed that also for her she's having like this kind of family issues too. I think her dad and her mom are going through a lot. So even divorce in the home like could actually affect the children and that kind of thing. So we just need to be like very, very observant. Like nobody is going to shoot on their head. You can see people come to the office every day. And like
Even Konga boss went to office Sunday before the suicide. So
So like I said, family helps a long way. For someone like me, if I'm going through something and I'm able to like share with my parents or my elder brother actually, there's this kind of peace I feel. Like whenever they encourage me, I tell them, oh, don't worry. And there are certain people in my life too that if I tell them something, they're like, oh, don't worry, you can scale through and that kind of thing. It kind of boosts my morals and that kind of thing. So I would say family actually they have a long way to go. And there was a time in my life too. I wasn't suicidal actually. I wasn't thinking of suicide. But when you're just like boy, you're like whatever happens should just happen. You get like so if you are that kind of person that you really can't your shock absorber is like very, very bad or very low. I think it's better for you to like look for some people or just one person actually that you can actually trust and talk to. And also, therapy session is very expensive in Nigeria. So, because there was a time I actually wanted to talk to a therapist when I heard the price. I spoke with my friend who was supposed to break me up with the therapist instead. So, like in those kind of cases, just find someone you can actually confide in, and you'll be fine.
There's an inside joke that says therapy is so expensive that I don't think my suicidal thoughts are that expensive. I cannot afford therapy. Whatever it is, I believe that even if you cannot afford therapy, that's where the place of support comes in. Just as you spoke to your friend and he helped.
Then also you just need to find something you love doing, honestly. Like just find something for someone like me,
What if you don't like doing anything? I don't want to do anything.
that is what you love doing.
you will love shopping.
Doing nothing is what you love doing.
Exactly.
Oh,
There's
I do.
something you would actually love to do.
Like shopping and
For
having
someone like
money.
me,
I actually like road trips with friends too. Like just traveling, like just visiting places and that kind of thing. So you can organize those kind of things or just talk to someone, there are actually a lot of things you can do. But also one of the things that make people very suicidal is debt. Maybe probably the
Financial.
yes, that financial constraint exact is enough to make people very suicidal. So you just have to look for a way around it because some people would like it might actually be the money they've invested in something and it's just like that kind of thing they would like start thinking of suicidal thoughts and that kind of thing. So there's this experience that also happened. I think I told you about it when I was coming from Lagos 2 months ago. I was coming from Lagos on the express, myself and my dad. And I was on 160 express and a man jumped in front of our vehicle. At first, because I was on like speed, so like we're very confused. So if I divert like this, it was following. If I come like this, it was following. I was so confused. I was like, what is this? If you want to kill yourself, I'm sorry, chill like there. Don't come and jump.
I think he's not being selfish now. I think he's just trying to say, why do I have to kill you?
Why do you want me to kill you? And me trying like that happened could actually lead to my own death and my dad's death too. Like it was till I got home, my mind was like, what happened? Now I used to think they were all in movies, like people jumping in front of vehicle and I experienced it firsthand. And I was scared till I got home. I was like, why would people have this kind of boldness to just jump in front of a moving vehicle or even trailer just want to kill themselves?
Thank
That
you
was
very
for them.
much, Dodemo. Thank you very much, Mr. Cardio, for coming. But before you go, what long-lasting last message would you have for our listeners and viewers out there?
Okay, the first message that I have for the viewers would or might be a bit contradictory to something he
That's it.
mentioned earlier, or that you also mentioned, that therapy is expensive. Well, yes, generally we believe that therapy is expensive, but there are new, innovative ideas these days. There are more affordable and more friendly ways to get therapy, and at cheaper rates or even almost free. Because, well, to God be the glory, when my dissertation was read, it included that I have affiliations with a number of mental health initiatives. And these mental health initiatives were created to help and support people. So part of the services that some of them render, or some of us render, is, a form of mini therapy sessions or counseling sessions. So, and these sessions are considerably cheaper and sometimes even free. We have example like, well, in the student setting, for example, like for students who are watching, in the University of Ilorin, for example, we have the Ilorin counseling unit, and then we have counselors in every faculty that attend to cases of mental health, and they are trained specialists who attend for free to mental health situations, and you can easily approach these people. I know that the awareness might not be that popular yet, and some might be contemplating, this person is an older person, I don't want to speak to somebody from the millennial, I'm a Gen Z, all of that generational gap. But sometimes those things are actually not very major barriers, because some of them have been trained to diversify and be able to understand how the minds of the Gen Zs work now, and be able to understand some of the problems that we have. So we can approach any of these counseling units. And also we have the Ilorin Health Care, and they have free therapy sessions. We have the mytherapy.ng. They actually have an online app now that you can download from Play Store, and get therapy from there. We have Renovare Mental Health Initiative. We have Faith Foundation. We have Assad Foundation. We have Suicide Prevention Initiative. We have a lot of them on Twitter, various Twitter handles, even some therapists that offer cheap therapy at considerably cheaper rates for people that cannot afford very expensive therapy. So yes, therapy is all around you. You just need to help is all around you. You just need to find it. Thank you very much.
Sorry, I think the awareness is what people don't know. Because I finished from Ilorin, I never knew like there was anything like counseling section or
Really?
honestly.
They contributed to my. Oh, okay.
I actually did not even know there was anything
There's a
like that.
counseling unit just right beside the student affairs unit.
Yes, it was.
It does work, and they go to work every day. In fact, the counselor in my faculty complains on a daily basis that I just come to work. I want you people to come to see me.
People are not aware. I think that's what it is. Because I used about 4 years. Even after 4 years, like I still go to Ilorin like frequently, and like this is my first time hearing about it.
Wow.
I even took a postgraduate degree that almost killed
Like,
my
I-
mental health.
oh
I would have
my
gone
God.
there.
Since 2014, I've
Oh my
never
God.
heard this
It
before.
works, and
Thank you for-
I've interacted with a number of them.
So I think in
and I
that
know
situation, people can actually like people that
Thank you
work
for
as
mentioning
students
them.
can actually-
Yes, even during my exam,
that's
this is
good.
my final exam. We were passing through the student affairs unit, and then we saw let's say this, I don't know what it's called now. Banner, yes, of
Yeah,
mental
banner.
health initiatives, something like that. And they were encouraging us about exam, that we should not take it too hard upon ourselves. Team healthcare, yeah. It's
for
talking
mental
about-
health, tertiary institution mental health care.
And I remember that I and my friends we laughed about it, that hey, look how you're telling you, like you see what I'm telling you. But for me, I felt we were saying that they know that it is not easy, that this time for us it is not easy on students, and they really want students to feel sane.
Not
So
an easy
that is
I
something
think
to me.
they
I
should
think.
take it to the medical students. They are the ones really going through a lot.
And they are the ones who don't have time to go for therapy.
I have few of them actually.
Because I finished,
my cousins,
I
three of
finished,
them,
I
they
finished
are actually
from
medical
Faculty of
students.
Veterinary Medicine, and majorly the issue we had was time.
No, I think this
There was no
mental
time to
health
spare to
thing-
actually go to seek
Are
help.
they no
Mental health care in what's it called, college?
It's not-
UITH.
In UITH, every faculty has counselors, but sometimes your schedule might be so tight that
You can't be-
At the time when you are going through a lot, you will not be able to have that time to spare. To
You want
seek
to
help.
read? Why going through a lot?
Please let's bring this to an end. I think it would also be a very welcome idea to take these mental health institutions and free therapy sessions to law schools in Nigeria. I speak
Yes.
from experience.
Yes,
If you are going through anything,
I agree with you. I have friends.
Message me.
I have
I'll be your
friends
counselor,
there.
Your therapist.
That is the place where you have the loosest bolts in your brain. Thank you very much, everybody, for being on this podcast. Mr. Cordero, the mental health counselor and specialist,
Thank you
Mr.
very
Todimo, and Juliana. You've been wonderful contributors to the program. We hope that if we call you again, you'll be available.
Very much available.
right.
Thank you very
Thank
much.
you very much. We now draw the podcast to a close today.
With the statement that no matter what you're going through, suicide is never an
Give me
option.
a call. No matter what I do, I'll be a therapist.
And we hope this will change the talk also.
Well, we have very active contributors on the program today, and we'd just like to add that for our viewers, if you'd like to speak about your coping mechanisms, please drop them in the comment section and we'll be available to interact. If you have not subscribed to our channel, please do so. We're available on all social media platforms and we are very, very much active. Once again, my name is Abimbola Shion Onyidoye, your host for today. We are saying this is a wrap. Thank you for listening.
Bye. God bless.